This is Y News.
Tonight on Y News, the Commission on Elections defers the expected proclamation of winning senators and party list groups in the 2019 midterm polls. The Department of the Interior and Local Government files administrative cases against 46 alleged narco-politicians. A cybersecurity expert advises Philippine telecommunication companies to be cautious amid Huawei's blacklisting issue. And Manila water customers in nearly 20 barangays in Quezon City to experience water service interruptions from May 24 to 25. Good evening. The Commission on Elections yet again postpones the proclamation of incoming senators and party list groups, which had been scheduled for Tuesday. The poll body says the new date of proclamation will be announced soon. Aiko Miguel will explain why.
The Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, announced that no proclamation of incoming senators and party list groups will be held today. This as the National Board of Canvassers still await the Certificate of Canvass or COC from Washington, D.C., USA. COMELEC explains they have to wait for the transmission of election returns from the U.S. Capitol, as there are more than 2,000 voters there, which may affect the final official election results.
So, in order to make sure na wala ng movement sa ranking ng mga elected officials natin, we need to get that squared away. Okay? So, not today.
COMELEC expects that the COC will be received tonight after its transmission from the United States. In spite of the proclamation postponement, the poll body are striving to fulfill their statement to hold the proclamation of the incoming senators and party list groups at the same time.
Ang worst case scenario natin, baka ma-split yung dalawa. But again, right now, we're confident na mapagsasabay natin.
COMELEC is yet to send invitations to the winning senators, their close relatives, and other government officials. Each winning senator will be allowed to invite 10 guests for the proclamation. COMELEC explained they have to set the restriction because there is a limited space in the venue.
Inside, there will be no interviews by the media yet. That will be done after the ceremony. We can use the press con area or even along the sides of the venue, but after the program.
As a part of the preparation for the proclamation, the poll body conducted a dry run this afternoon. No word has been received by the poll body on whether President Rodrigo Duterte will attend the proclamation. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasay City.
The Department of Interior and Local Government has filed administrative cases against the more than 40 alleged narco-politicians. This as the police continue to validate information gathered on those personalities. Leia Ilagan tells us why.
Interior Secretary Eduardo Año confirms his department has filed administrative cases against the 46 alleged narco-politicians. Secretary Año said that 43 of the alleged narco-politicians are incumbent local government officials and 3 are congressmen. Philippine National Police or PNP Chief Police General Oscar Albayalde yesterday said, of the 37 supposed narco-politicians who ran for electoral post in the 2019 midterm polls, 27 won. These include mayors and governors from Luzon. Año added that the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency or PDEA will file criminal cases against those included on the so-called narco list.
Ito ay kasalukuyan na iniimbestigahan ng Ombudsman. Ang PDEA na siyang may mandato at head ng Intercommittee on Anti-Drugs ay naghahanda naman sa pagsampa ng criminal cases.
Año also stated that the alleged narco-politicians won in the recent elections because they cannot control the privilege of the voters to choose.
So yung mga mayors na nahalal, no? Siguro dahil kasi hindi pa matured yung ibang mga botante natin, lalo na sa mga malalayong lugar. At hindi natin alam kung ano yung history nito. Baka naman ito ay matagal nang may utang na loob sila dito sa isang politician na to. Kaya binoto nila at maaaring wala rin silang pakialam dyan sa narco-list dahil alam mo naman, yung vote buying ay andyan pa rin, no?
The DILG Secretary also confirmed they have removed those local officials' control over the local police. Anyo said the police continue their validation on the alleged narco-politicians. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue, CAMERAMAN.
Rodel Jaime, the website administrator of metrobalita.net, pleads not guilty of the charges of inciting to sedition filed against him. The Department of Justice charged Jaime after conversations on his email and Facebook accounts had been discovered slandering the government. Judge Noemi Balitaan of the Parañaque Regional Trial Court Branch 258 ordered the transfer of Jaime to Parañaque City Jail from the custody of the National Bureau of Investigation. One of Jaime's social media accounts was the first one to share the Ang Totoong Narco-List video series, or the so-called Bikoy videos, on which some of the relatives of President Rodrigo Duterte are being linked to the illegal drug trade. However, Jaime claims he has no control over the account used to share the said Bikoy videos. After Google announced they will ban Huawei from using the Android system, many are asking what will the effect of this measure be on millions of Huawei users and the mobile tech community. Mon Hokson tells us why.
Are you an avid fan of Huawei products? Maybe, like others, you are worried about the measure imposed by Google to ban Huawei from using the Android operating system. This after the United States said that Huawei is a threat to their national security. But it seems that Huawei is prepared, because since 2012, when Huawei heard about the threat, they already made a backup operating system. In the future, we might see 3 operating systems in the market: Apple's iOS, Google's Android, and Huawei's own operating system. All Huawei phones are using the Android operating system. All mobile apps are bought and downloaded from the Play Store owned by Google. But for now, Huawei's own operating system is not ready. It is only being prepared if the ban continues. But don't expect for this OS to be reliable compared with those of Apple's and Google's, because it is just a new operating system. Do you still remember the Symbian OS of Nokia? The OS did not progress because it could not compete with the iOS and Android. This can also happen to Huawei if they do not make their operating system marketable. And all your favorite apps will not work until Huawei make its OS stable. Meanwhile, Smart Communications said in a statement that all their Huawei users and subscribers can still use the phone, and that their phones will still function properly. Globe said that the U.S. Department of Commerce has given Huawei a temporary license to maintain its current devices until August 19, 2019. But some customers are worried. In a tweet, a subscriber said that Globe must replace their phone units if the Huawei problem worsens. Some subscribers have the same appeal to Globe Telecom. The National Privacy Commission is investigating Huawei to assure that Filipinos can still use Huawei products without the risk after the Google ban. Last year, national security became an issue because of the use of products from China by some telecom companies. But according to some IT experts, even before, telecom companies had been using Chinese products on our communication lines, particularly on mobile phones.
I think nakakalimutan ng mga kritiko na yung networks ng PLDT saka yung networks ni Globe and a lot of yung mga smaller players na around the country like cable TV, satellite and so on, ang ginagamit nilang technology, Chinese din naman.
An analyst meanwhile assures this will greatly affect not only the business of Huawei but all the communication products of China. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue.
Telecommunication companies in the Philippines should be cautious following the blacklisting of Chinese firm Huawei by the United States government. April Senadoza tells us why.
Telecommunication companies in the Philippines must be alarmed following Chinese firm Huawei's blacklisting by the United States government. Cybersecurity expert Rosel Rig said this is amid the alleged spying activities of the Chinese giant. The U.S. Commerce Department has blacklisted Huawei from purchasing U.S. technology and components without prior approval. As a result, Google announced it will no longer provide Android services to Huawei devices.
They need to be cautious. Kasi parang kung ang dami palang countries ngayon ang hindi na for Huawei, no? Parang yung telecoms natin, sana syempre nakikinig din siya sa kung ano yung happening outside the country. And to safeguard din yung ating mga users ng Huawei.
The expert emphasized an intensive study must be done to determine the implications to national security should the alleged spying activities of Huawei be proven true. The U.S. State Department earlier said Huawei had sent some vital information to their clients and the Chinese government.
Kung sakasakali na tama o sabihin natin meron ngang backdoor access na pwedeng nagsaspy yung device or nagagamit yung device ng Huawei para ma-spy ang ating government or ang ating communication in the country. Napakalaking threat nito sa seguridad ng bawat Pilipino at ng bawat internet user.
According to Rig, the processes of systems in terms of transportation, electricity, banking, among others, may be put in danger due to cyber hacking. Google meanwhile clarified its Google Play and security from Google Play Protect will keep functioning on existing Huawei devices. In a tweet also, Huawei said the U.S. blacklist will affect tens of thousands of American jobs. In a statement, the Philippine Long-Distance Telephone Company or PLDT and Globe assured their customers that their existing Huawei devices will continue to function properly in their respective networks. Meanwhile, the Department of Communications and Technology said the U.S. blacklist will not affect their policy in allowing telcos to choose their equipment suppliers. These telcos, the agency mentioned, are required to assure the Philippine government that their networks will not be a threat to national security.
If it does, if an incident happens, then they can lose their business. No? Kung their network has been the cause of a breach that endangers our national security. No?
Despite the ban, Huawei will still keep sending software updates to its devices for the next 3 months after receiving a temporary license until August 19, 2019. April Senedoza, UNTV News and Rescue, Mandaluyong.
20 barangays in Quezon City will be affected by Manila water service interruption on May 24 to 25. Meanwhile, around 140,000 Manila water customers will receive rebates on their bill next month for those who experienced water supply crisis in March. Joan Nano will tell us why.
As the Manila Water is set to relocate some of its pipelines along North Avenue in Quezon City, 20 barangays in the city will be affected by the water service interruption scheduled on May 24 to 25. The Manila Water has advised their customers there will be no water supply from May 24 at 11 p.m. until 6 a.m. of May 25th. Among the areas affected are Barangays Ramon Magsaysay, Alicia, Santo Cristo, Bagong Pag-asa, Old Capital Site, Project 6, Culyat, Bahay Toro, Tandang Sora, Pasong Tamo, Teachers Village, UP Village, and other areas.
Because there's an activity, we need to relocate our pipe because of the MRT construction.
Meanwhile, good news for almost 140,000 customers of Manila Water as they are entitled for rebates on their water bill in June. These are the customers that were affected by the water supply crisis last March. Based on the announcement of the Metropolitan Water Works and Sewerage System or MWSS, all residents affected by the water service interruption will receive 153 pesos and 93 centavos basic rebates for 10 cubic meter water consumption this month. A customer will also be entitled to an additional 2,197 pesos and 94 centavos rebates if they are among those who were severely affected by the water service interruption. These were the customers who experienced no water supply 24/7 from March 6 until 31. In case that the rebates will be over their total amount consumed, this can be offset on their succeeding bill, while some can use this as payment for their previous unpaid billing. For example, if your water bill next month will amount to 339 pesos and 48 centavos for a 20 cubic meters water consumption, 153 pesos and 93 centavos basic rebates will automatically be deducted from your total amount due. An additional 2,197 pesos and 94 centavos will also be credited if you are among those who were severely affected. This will result to an excess of 2,012 pesos and 39 centavos. You can still use this remaining value if you got an unpaid due in the previous month.
So, the entire 534 million, yun po, babalik ko lahat yan sa publiko. Wala po maiiwan, wala po mapupunta sa MWSS.
Susundin natin yun, kaya ngayon yung rebate para sa customers amounting to 534 million, we will coordinate with the regulatory office in terms of implementing yung mga mechanics at yung guidelines.
Among those customers who are entitled for rebates are those residing in Taguig, Pasig, Mandaluyong, Quezon City, and some towns in Rizal. Victor Suwing, who is a resident of Barangay Tandang Sora in Quezon City, is one of those who will receive rebates in his water bill next month.
Dapat lang. Kasi siyempre, nagdusa rin naman kami noon nung walang tubig. Ang ilang mahirap dyan dahil maganda mag-rebate sila.
Apart from the rebates, the MWSS also ordered the Manila Water to come up with a new water resource development facility amounting to 600 million pesos. This aims to have alternative water supply sources and to avoid a repeat of the massive water service interruption. Meanwhile, the MWSS has also issued a notice of service obligation failure against Maynilad due to numerous complaints they had received from its customers. It was more than 15 days since the MWSS alerted the Maynilad about the complaints, but they failed to address the problem on their water supply service. Maynilad was given 5 days to explain as to why the MWSS should not penalize them. Among those areas complaining are Maynilad customers residing in Las Piñas, Muntinlupa, and Cavite. In a statement, Maynilad reiterates that there is no basis for the imposition of the penalties. The service interruption did not last for 15 days and only affected 12% of their customers. The water concessionaire also emphasized they did their part to mitigate the impact of the water service interruption by deploying mobile water tanks in the affected areas. Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The United States Naval Academy's first-year class takes part in the annual Greece Obelisk climb. Sonny Cos will tell us why.
Members of the U.S. Naval Academy's first-year class tested their ingenuity, perseverance, and ability to work together as they attempted to scale a granite obelisk coated with a thick layer of vegetable shortening on Monday. The annual hand-drawn monument climb requires participants to form a human pyramid with the ultimate goal of placing a midshipman's cover hat on the tip of the 21-foot or 6.4. The climb is a culminating event for the first-year class at Annapolis and marked their transition from plebes to midshipmen. After several attempts that saw the plebes sliding down the obelisk and falling on top of each other, the class completed their task 1 hour, 5 minutes, and 5 seconds after starting. Midshipman 4th Class Christian Schwein landed the midshipman's hat on the tip of the obelisk. Plebes have been participating in the annual climb since 1962, with degrees added to the challenge sometime in the late 70s. The longest climb, 4 hours and 5 minutes, took place in 1998. Sanicas, UNTV News and Rescue, USA.
Welcome back to Y News. We pick up to where Alex Baltasar left off. I am William Theo, and here are the headlines. Senator Francis Pangilinan and Representative Kip Belmonte resign as Liberal Party officials following the defeat of Ocho Derecho bets in the midterm polls. Find out how supermajority in Congress affects the passage of a bill. Local government orders shut down of 11 Chinese and Korean establishments on Boracay. And a female cadet from Ilocos Sur tops Philippine military class of 2019. Senator Kiko Pangilinan and Congressman Kit Belmonte resign as officials of the Liberal Party after the candidates of Ocho Derecho were defeated in the senatorial race. However, Vice President Leni Robredo, the Liberal Party chairperson, refuses to accept their resignations. Grace Casin explains why.
Liberal Party President Senator Kiko Pangilinan and Liberal Party Secretary General Congressman Kit Belmonte have taken all responsibilities in the defeat of all senatorial candidates of Ocho Derecho. In connection to this, both have submitted their resignation letter to step down from their positions in the LP. In a statement, Senator Pangilinan said as the campaign manager of Ocho Derecho, he wasn't able to let their candidates win. Ocho Derecho senatorial candidate Erin Tanyada admired the courage of Senator Pangilinan. According to Tanyada, to resign from his position shows how humble Pangilinan is. But according to Attorney Barry Gutierrez, the spokesperson of Vice President Leni Robredo, the Vice President has refused to accept the resignation of Pangilinan and Belmonte. Robredo stands as the chairperson of Partido Liberal. According to VP Leni Robredo, they still have many things to accomplish and they will do it together. Congressman Belmonte also clarified that he will remain as a member in the Liberal Party and will not go to any other parties. In the latest partial official count of Commission on Elections, no candidates of Ocho Derecho landed in the Magic 12. Senator Bam Aquino is in the 14th place, Mar Rojas landed in the 16th, and Chel Jokno in the 21st place. The palace avoided to give any comment on the issue.
Let LP speaks for itself. We will watch in amusement.
Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue.
It is expected that the 18th Congress, more allies of the administration, will join the legislature. But how does the name supermajority affect the process of enactment of a law? Nel Maribohok will tell us why.
The passage of a law in the Congress has been considered by many as a numbers game. A majority of votes is always needed for a bill to be approved in the upper chamber. But how fast can a bill be approved and eventually become a law? There are 12 steps in the legislative process. It begins from the filing up to the approval of the President of the Philippines. In a simple proposal of changing the name of a school, in the case of Manlabang National High School, it took 8 months before the bill was approved and changed to Caibiran National High School. In other urgent bills, approximately 1.5 to 2 years is needed before they get approved if there are no hindrances. In other urgent bills, approximately 1.5 to 2 years is needed before they get approved if there are no hindrances. Talking about the annual proposed budget, the right time to approve this is within 6 months. But the President has the power to fast-track the approval of measures by certifying it as an urgent bill. During the 16th Congress, former President Benigno Aquino III certified as urgent the proposed postponement of Sangguniang Kabataan or SK elections. In only about a month, the President approved the bill. But there were difficulties experienced in the passage of some proposals like the anti-political dynasty. In the 17th Congress, 2 versions of the said bill were hurdled in the lower house and are pending up to now in the committee level. Now the 18th Congress has forthcoming. Expectedly, there will be a new composition in the Congress where the so-called supermajority apparently will be strengthened. Does this mean that the push for the administration's agenda will be a lot easier? According to political analyst Ramon Casiple, the passage of the priority bills will indeed be easier. But before, there had already been a supermajority in the lower house, but some of the agenda of the Duterte administration is still pending, like the proposed changing of the form of government in the country to federalism. Senate Majority Leader Juan Miguel Zubiri assures that the issue of supermajority in the Congress will not be a hindrance for them to scrutinize sensitive measures.
The Senate is not just a working Senate but a thinking Senate. We have to have long, hard discussions on these issues. Hindi basta-basta hook, line, and sinker ipapasa natin itong mga measures na to dahil malaking implications. Kung magkamali tayo sa federalism, it can cause the bankruptcy of our country.
According to political analyst Ed Montayaw, Other lawmakers still consider the sentiments of the majority of Filipinos.
Malaking bagay pa din yung patuloy na pagkampanya at papalalim ng pag-intindi ng taong bayan sa mga pagbabago na kailangang isulong. Kasi kapag nakita ng kahit na sinong politiko o mambabatas na merong public support ang sinusulong na pagbabago, susuporta sila dito.
Amid the issue, how fast or slow the passage of a bill may be, Filipinos are always looking how important the measures are to the country and its people. Nel Maribuho, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
As he is re-elected as mayor of Parañaque City, Mayor Edwin Olivares sets to focus on comprehensive health care, education, and job creation in the city. Mai Bermudez tells us why.
More than 850,000 people will be served by re-elected Parañaque City Mayor Edwin Olivares. Healthcare, education, and jobs are some of his promises as he embarks on his second term. The re-elected mayor said in the UNTV program Get It Straight with Daniel Razon today, he will focus on the creation of a city hospital in the 2nd District of Parañaque.
So yung amin pong healthcare, yung aming comprehensive health plan nito, kasi yung primary healthcare po natin, mayroong mga health center po tayo. So maglalagay pa po kami ng mga satellite health center doon sa malalaking barangay po dito para hindi na po congested yung aming health center.
Aside from this, real estate, hotel and restaurant management and tourism courses will be made available in the Parañaque City College, which used to offer short courses only.
Ito pong June na ito, maging abala ho tayo kasi bubuksan na po natin yung ating bagong campus ng ating koleyo. Itong koleyo na magko-coexist po yung ating PUP Parañaque campus po dito. Na para po yung mga bata at yung mga magulang, makapili po sila kung saan po nilang koleyo na pag-aaralin po sa aming lungsod na halos wala pong babayaran po sila para sa kanilang college education.
An emergency disaster operations center will be opened in preparation for future calamities to hit the city. Parañaque City is also set to open in September a 4,000 square meter mall, which so far will be the biggest in the country.
That it would generate more than 10,000 of jobs. Tapos may plano po ang ating city po na meron po kaming old market po doon, yung tinatawag namin bulungan. O yung bulungan. Iilan na lang po kaming city along the bay na may sariling fisherman's wharf.
Some casinos are established in Parañaque, but Mayor Olivares said they refuse to be called as a casino district and instead wants to regulate the gaming hubs in the city. Mai Bermudez, UNTV News and Rescue.
In other news, Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara insists President Rodrigo Duterte also enjoys the right to privacy, same as other Filipino citizens. The Justice Secretary says the chief executive has the obligation to tell the public about his health condition if it is a serious illness. But if the president suffers from an illness that is not serious enough to affect the discharge of his official functions, then he has no obligation to tell anyone. This is the reaction of the official after reports circulated in social media stating the president has been confined in Cardinal Santos Medical Center. But on the pictures publicized by former Special Assistant to the President Christopher Bongo, the chief executive could be seen reading the dailies and taking his snap. A female cadet tops the graduates of the Philippine Military Academy this year. Leslie Weedham explains why.
The Philippine Military Academy or PMA names Cadet First Class Dion May Apolog Omalia as the top one of the 263 graduates from the PMA Mamalasik or Mandirigma ng Bayan Iaalay ang Sarili, Lakas at Tapang para sa Kapayapaan Class 2019. The 21-year-old hails from Alelem Daya, Alelem, Ilocos Sur. She and her 3 siblings were raised solely by their mother, Janisha Umalia, a retired teacher. Dion is the youngest and the only female in the family. The siblings have not seen their father since Dion was 2 years old. Despite this, Dion said the doors are still open for their dad.
Siguro naman proud po siya sa akin pag nakita niya ako sa TV. Kaya feeling ko siya na yung maghahanap sa akin. Pero I'm not closing my doors. Welcome pa rin po siya pag nagpakita siya po.
The top 10 cadet graduates from the PMA this year are Cadet First Class Daryl James Ligutan, Cadet First Class Angelic Pasos, Cadet First Class Eleanor Marapao, Cadet First Class Marnel Fundales, Cadet First Class Richard Lunogan, Cadet First Class Aldren Altamero, Cadet First Class Daniel Hines Lucas, Cadet First Class Jansel, Cadet First Class Jaciel Tandok, Cadet First Class Jonathan Mendoza, Cadet First Class Dion May Omalia. Of the 10, only one hails from Mindanao, Cadet First Class Aldren Altamero. He said striving hard despite the challenges is the key to excel.
Siyempre po nakaka-proud kasi akala ko nga po madami kami tapos kanina nalaman ko na ako lang pala. Kaya siyempre from Mindanao, proud ka rin sa sarili mo. Inspiration family. Yung parents ko po ngayon pa pupunta ngayong graduation. So first time nila pupunta dito. Tapos yun na po yung naging motivation ko para to strive hard.
The graduation ceremony will be held on May 26. President Rodrigo Duterte is expected to be the guest of honor and speaker in the event. Leslie Widem, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The Boracay Interagency Rehabilitation Management Group orders the closure of 11 establishments operating on the island of Boracay. Deb Riveral will tell us why.
Philippine authorities have ordered the closure of 11 Chinese and Korean-owned establishments on Boracay. This as the businesses were found to lack permit to operate. On May 79, the Department of the Interior and Local Government, or DILG, conducted a crackdown inspection in 49 establishments with foreign name signage. Following the operation, 11 identified establishments were found to have no mayor's permit, while 14 businesses have not fulfilled the requirements set by the local government unit and the Bureau of Fire Protection.
Ang first batch pa lang to na inspection ng DILG. So we're expecting some more reports coming from them na identifying mga establishments na hindi pa rin compliant. So itong mga ino na lang namin, yung mga foreign-run businesses.
The Office of the Municipal Mayor issued a closure order after the DILG's endorsement. The establishments are not allowed to resume their operations unless they comply and complete the necessary permits. None of the owners of the establishments ordered to close have given their comments on the matter. Deborah Veral, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
And to finally complete the most significant news for the day, Why News continues. Here are the top stories. Former Ombudsman Conchita Carpio Morales was temporarily held at Hong Kong International Airport on Tuesday, May 21st. According to Deputy Consul General Herminia Aguilar Usudan, Morales arrived at 12:20 p.m. along with her family for a vacation. Her family was allowed entry, but the Hong Kong immigration officials stopped her and held her at the airport. With assistance from Philippine consulate officials, Morales was allowed entry at around 3 o'clock p.m., but she decided to just take a flight back to the Philippines. The former ombudsman and her family will take Philippine Airlines flight PR307 to Manila.
For the reason why she was not allowed immediate entry to Hong Kong, we were not given any reason by the immigration office. Decided to go home because apparently she's already very tired and their plans have been already altered because of this incident. So the two grandchildren are also disappointed. So she said they would just opt to go back to the Philippines.
In March, Morales, along with former Foreign Affairs Secretary Albert Del Rosario, filed a complaint of crimes against humanity against Chinese President Xi Jinping at the International Criminal Court, or ICC, for purportedly damaging the resources at the disputed territory in the West Philippine Sea through China's ongoing reclamation activities in the area. President Rodrigo Duterte welcomes newly designated Thai ambassador in Malacanang today. This is the president's first public appearance since a 1 week of not being seen by the public. The president was last seen by the people when he voted for the 2019 midterm elections in Davao City on May 13. Rumors spread this weekend saying the president had been confined in a hospital due to cardiac arrest, but the palace explained the president opted to stay in his office to sign official papers.
But I'm very happy of your presence today and congratulations to your new employment. I'm sure that you earned some attention. You want to have the right time. Similar in all cases, including our desire to have a peaceful Southwest Pacific.
The Philippine National Police, or PNP, supports the implementation of the Mandatory Reserve Officers Training Corps, or ROTC, in senior high school. PNP spokesperson Police Colonel Bernard Banac says this will help the Filipino youth prepare should they want to join the PNP or the Armed Forces of the Philippines, or AFP. The ROTC will also help in capacitating the young citizens for disaster response.
Kung sakasakali mang may pangangailangan, no, na magpatawag tayo ng mga reserba, hindi lamang sa seguridad kundi pati sa pagresponde sa mga disaster, calamities at emergencies.
In a statement, the Department of National Defense, or DND, says mandatory ROTC will instill patriotism among the youth, as well as respect for human rights and to be good citizens of the country. The DND says the nation is in great need of people who are responsible, disciplined, and willing to serve the country. The lower house has already approved Bill number 8961, which aims to revitalize mandatory ROTC in senior high school. And in Zamboanga City, men in uniform take part in the annual Brigada ESKWELA. Meanwhile, volunteers from UNTV, Bible Reader Society, and Members Church of God International take part in repairing and cleaning operations in a school in Lucena City. Dante Amento will tell us why.
The Department of Education, or DepEd, Zamboanga City Division urged the police and the military to take part in the annual Brigada ESKWELA 2019. DepEd said that through this move, the youth will be encouraged to look up to the law enforcement and security forces, not just for their duty in maintaining peace and security in the community, but also in keeping the cleanliness of the schools and the environment.
When we see these military people who are in school, bringing with them brooms and cleaning materials, this can also deter and even remove the stigma that indeed if we see policemen, there's violence.
The city must prepare 230 public elementary and high schools for the incoming school year. And in Lucena City, volunteers from UNTV and Members Church of God International, or MCGI, and the Bible Readers or Bread Society joined together for the Brigada ESKWELA in Ibabang Talim Integrated High School.
Ang amin pong pinupuntirya ngayon ay matapos po talaga yung aming bakod para po sa seguridad. Hindi lamang po sa mga gamit, kundi lalong-lalo na sa mga estudyante po natin.
Since June last year, the school has experienced untoward incidents such as robbery.
Simply because may event na po ditong nanakawan kami. And we are hoping and praying na hindi na ito maulit.
The volunteers from MCGI and BRED are thankful for the opportunity to help the community.
Bigyan tugon siyempre ng ating Kuya Daniel dahil naniniwala tayo ang UNTV, kaalisabi ng pagtuwang ng Bread Society at ng MCGI, yung paggawa ng mabuti hindi nagbubunga ng masama.
DepEd's Brigada ESKWELA 2019 runs from May 20 to 25, 2019 nationwide. Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue, Philippines.
And for the news abroad, here's Kath Dumaraos live from Bangkok, Thailand. Kath, good evening.
Good evening, William. Colombia is on defensive after a New York Times report on military kill orders. Stephanie Z explains why.
Colombia's army on Monday denied putting pressure on high-ranking officers to sharply increase the number of rebels and gang members killed or captured in military operations across the Andean nation. The denial followed a New York Times report over the weekend which cited military sources as saying the armed forces leadership had ordered a doubling in the number of dead, captured or surrendered guerrillas and criminals, even though the policy could pose increased risks for civilians. In this report, the New York Times said Army Chief General Nicasio de Jesus Martinez has confirmed giving an order to double operational results because of continuing security threats in the country, which is a leading source of cocaine, which Martinez denied. Defense Minister Guillermo Botero said the military had been pushing for an increase in guerrilla and gang member captures and surrenders instead of deaths since 2007. But he denied there was a policy specifically aimed at exerting pressure on commanders or using incentives such as increased vacation time to boost arrest and casualty numbers.
This government has had the lowest number of casualties, with the number of military operations doubling. More than 110% have been identified, and we have achieved 141% more arrests compared to the same period. We have achieved 21% more demobilizations than the previous period.
Human rights groups have repeatedly accused military officials of collaborating with right-wing paramilitary groups and of looking the other way when those groups committed massacres, rapes, and torture. Armed Forces Chief Luis Fernando Navarro said the military would halt any operation that looked likely to put civilians at risk.
There is no risk that innocent civilians will become victims within the operational framework. If we see that there is any risk against civilians, we prefer to cancel an operation, and we don't do it because we do not want innocent civilians to become victims.
Porque no queremos que vayan a caer civiles inocentes.
Colombia's armed forces battle criminal gangs, many comprised of ex-paramilitaries, Marxist-led National Liberation Army rebels, and the remains of the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia guerrilla group, which officially demobilized in 2017. Stephanie C., UNTV News and Rescue.
A Morehouse College student reacted to the news that billionaire Robert Smith would pay the student debt for the entire 2019 graduating class. Smith made the announcement on Sunday during a speech at the Atlanta, Georgia University. The Black founder and chief executive of the private equity firm Vista Equity Partners has a net worth of about $4.4 billion, according to a 2018 estimate by Forbes magazine. Morehouse is a historically black college, one of more than 100 schools founded to serve black students, mostly in the U.S. South, before the 1964 Civil Rights Act outlawed school segregation. Martin Luther King Jr., the civil rights hero, is among its notable alumni. An indigenous community in Paraguay, now squeezed by deforestation and farming, goes digital to defend itself. Beverly Saison explains why.
Romilda Fernandez's indigenous community has long tended its ancestral lands in Paraguay, marking boundaries with an ancient system of names for trees and streams. Fernandez is one of the group's first technology-equipped forest monitors, traversing the narrow earthen tracts of the Isla Jovay Tehu community's land to map the area with a smartphone app and GPS. The work is a matter of survival for Himbia Guarani ethnic group.
I learned on the mobile phone to take points and lines. This is important for me because we can know how many hectares our territory has, up to where ours is. Thanks to this work, I was able to manage the GPS, and that's why it's very important to me.
Their lands have been encroached on over the years of vast surrounding plantations of soybeans and maize in the South American nation that is grappling with widespread deforestation. The tech push is part of a project with the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, training 8 indigenous youths from 4 Mbia communities in the district of Caguazu, about 125 miles east of the capital, Asuncion. The monitors take photographs using a cell phone app of natural landmarks. Christina Gorolewski, president of the country's National Forest Institute, said part of the problem was endemic corruption that meant illegal logging went unchecked. She hopes the use of technology and reliable data will change that.
From December 2004 to December 2018, in the eastern region, more than 500,000 hectares were deforested. Then I'll tell you about the corruption scheme also installed within the institutions responsible for ensuring precisely that deforestation does not occur.
The Mbia leaders believe incorporating technology will help them protect lands that in the past have been occupied by large-scale producers or farmers. Loss of land and natural resources is a painful issue for the indigenous people of Paraguay, who represent 2% of the country's total population. The loss has been cited by experts as one of the main reasons 75% of them live in poverty or extreme poverty, according to official data. Beverly Saison, UNTV News and Rescue.
Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro on Monday proposed early elections for the National Assembly headed by opposition leader Juan Guaido. Meanwhile, an election supervisory agency dismisses claims of systematic cheating in the recent Indonesian polls. Mirasol Abogadil tells us why.
In Argentina, markets wobbled on Monday as investors grappled to work out the likely impact of an unexpected twist in the country's presidential election race after the main populist challenger opted instead to launch a vice presidential bid. Cristina Fernandez de Kirchner, a former president who has an ardent support base but is unloved by global investors, surprised locals and international observers alike on Saturday by saying she would run for vice president alongside former cabinet chief Alberto Fernandez, a veteran political operator who has both backed and criticized her in the past. It could strengthen the challenge against the center-right incumbent Mauricio Macri if the Fernandez-Fernandez pair can win over the more moderate wing of the broad Peronist opposition, the consultancy added. In Venezuela, President Nicolas Maduro on Monday proposed early elections for the National Assembly, which is headed by opposition leader Juan Guaido and is the sole body recognized as democratically legitimate by most Western nations. Most Western nations have recognized Guaido as the country's rightful head of state after Maduro won re-election last year in a vote widely deemed fraudulent and stacked other state bodies with loyalists. Maduro accuses Guaido of staging a US-backed coup against his socialist administration and says he will face justice. Maduro retains control of state functions and the support of the military's top brass, as well as allies Russia, Cuba, and China. And in Indonesia, incumbent President Joko Widodo won last month's Indonesian election with 55.5% of votes against 44.5% for his challenger, retired General Prabowo Subianto, the Election Commission's official count announced early on Tuesday. The official result released by the General Election Commission confirms unofficial counts by private pollsters of the April 17 election, giving Widodo a comfortable victory, though it could trigger a legal challenge and potential street protests after Prabowo claimed widespread cheating. An election supervisory agency earlier on Monday dismissed claims of systematic cheating because of the lack of evidence, and independent observers and analysts have said the poll was free and fair. Mirasol Abogadil, UNTV News and Rescue.
And those are the news from the other parts of the globe. Back to you, William.
Thank you very much, Kath Dumaraos, reporting live from Bangkok, Thailand. Convicts of a prison in Western Germany were being rehabilitated through a beekeeping program that aimed to teach them the sweeter things in life. Honey. Nina Armilio will tell us why.
2 inmates at Rimshid Prison were training as beekeepers as part of the prison's Bee Project, which not only gives prisoners a chance to learn new skills, but also helps fight against the species extinction. Mohammed, a 24-year-old who was incarcerated due to physical assault, said he has learned both patience and to listen to authority figures because of his participation in the Bee Project. He is due to leave prison in a few months and is thinking about joining a beekeeping club in his hometown of Hagen.
You have to be patient. I did not have that before. Before it was always hectic, fast. And now that is no longer an issue. I never trusted people of authority to tell me anything. In the meantime, that's getting better.
A total of 68 bee colonies live in and around the grounds of the facility. By looking after the bees, prisoners learn how to build apiaries and extract honey. The project started in the spring of 2016 and about a dozen inmates have taken part in it. Around a ton of honey is produced and bottled at Rimshed, which is then sold in shops and by farmers. Sebastian Lobak, the director of the project, said the inmates learn respect for the environment, for the bee colony, and for what the honeybees produce through the program. Nino Armilio, UNTV, News and Rescue.
And those are the reasons behind the news this May 21st, 2019. On behalf of Alex Baltazar, I am William Theo, and before we close, we will recap with the day's significant sound bites. Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Good evening.
Ang worst case scenario natin, baka ma-split yung dalawa. But again, right now, we're confident na mapagsasabay natin.
Entire 534 million, yun po, babalik po lahat yan sa publiko. Wala po maiiwan, wala po mapupunta sa MWSS.
Kung sakasakali na tama o sabihin natin meron ngang backdoor access na pwedeng nagsaspy yung device or nagagamit yung device ng Huawei para ma-spy ang ating government or ang ating communication in the country, napakalaking threat nito sa seguridad ng bawat Pilipino at ng bawat internet user.
For the reason why she was not allowed immediate entry to Hong Kong, we were not given any reason by the immigration office. She decided to go home because apparently she's already very tired and their plans have been already altered because of this incident.
Let LP speaks for itself. We will watch in amusement.